Shoulder impingement. We're going to be covering that today. We're going to cover a little bit of soft tissue release for any type of shoulder impingement you may have. We're also going to cover a couple of deviations that typically happen that actually cause it to come up. Okay. My name is Paul Monahan, a certified applied functional science practitioner, Gray Institute certified. I'm also certified by the National Academy of Sports Medicine for performance enhancement specialization. What I want to be able to talk to you about today is the things that actually end up happening when you go into an overhead movement. Okay, some of what actually can hold you back is an ability to internally rotate. So being able to hold this position. When you go into an overhead movement, typically what ends up happening is you could end up letting your elbows splay out. Now if that happens, you're going to be at a higher propensity for creating any kind of impingement over the top of the shoulder. So what we want to do is we want to teach the body to be able to turn in and keep that position and not vault out. Now that would be a shoulder fall. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to talk about how the shoulder actually works just a little bit to help you treat if in case you feel like you have any kind of impingement on the top. So here's the explanation. A really good friend of mine, Sammy, asked me, I've got a little bit of an impingement on my right shoulder on the top. I'm feeling it. What's going on? And so what I want you to understand to begin with is, if you could imagine that your shoulder is this little cup right here, okay? This is it. So we're looking at this shoulder, and it looks like this kind of inside. And your humerus is jammed up right up in here, okay? Your humerus doesn't necessarily kind of like sit in there like a Lego. It doesn't just pop in there. It actually kind of hangs. And there are muscles that stabilize it and keep it in that position. There's a nice little space in that cavity, in that capsule, that allows it to move around. So the joint is free flowing, and there should be a lot of movement, a lot of range. If it needs to, it can clear space, it can move around, it can go all over the place. But what can happen is, let's say in the case of an overhead movement, you start jamming all this weight down in there, and what could end up happening is you jam that humerus and it gets stuck. It gets kind of moved. Well, there's a lot of tissue in between where the humerus is and the top of that AC joint is. Now, if it gets stuck, and let's say there's a little strand like this, okay, and it gets stuck and it's holding on the outside the muscle that you feel holding your arm, then you get that caught up in that tissue. What ends up happening is it'll pinch on the edge of that AC joint, and that humerus will start kind of creating a little bit of impingement. So we want to clear space. So our main focus today is going to be able to distract that a little bit, so open up space in that, but we also got to treat the soft tissue around it in order to be able to get the desired result. So how do we do that to begin with? First of all, we want to be able to treat soft tissue on the outside of the shoulder, and we're going to go on the lat in this case. I've covered in another video how to be able to do a little bit of pectoral release so that we can actually treat other sections of that entire scapula area, either anterior or posterior side. But for right now, what we're going to cover is we're going to cover over the top, and we're also going to cover the lat, which will help us to improve a little bit of that internal rotation, be able to rotate and use the shoulder the way that we want to, and try to minimize any kind of pain on top. Okay, after we do that, we're going to add a little bit of distraction, so let's go ahead and start from there. First one, let's go ahead and reduce a little bit of the protracted syndrome, because when we go into an overhead movement, we need to be open and we need to be able to explode up. And in order to do that, we might want to release a lot of what's happening back here in the lat. So let's start off with foam rolling. I'm going to do a little soft tissue prep. I'm going to use a foam roller here. Okay. I'm going to lay down on my side, and I'm just going to go ahead and lay it right about where my armpit is at, and I'm going to start to press, and I'm going to find any tight spots. If I feel like all of a sudden I've got a really, really tight spot that almost feels like it's agitating, I'm just going to hold there. I'm going to wait. I'm going to push, and what's going to happen is I'm going to start to push fluid into that particular section to allow the tissue to heal, and I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to do it slowly. I might even want to rock back and forth, back and forth. I might want to twist a little bit and just kind of find those spots. Maybe even if I wanted to, slowly start moving my arm, and I'm going to move all the way. I might even find tension as low as all the way down here and still keep applying pressure, lean all the way back on that shoulder blade, and just apply pressure to the entire posterior side on that tissue so that it will release as much as possible. Okay? We're going to go ahead and move on from there, and I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure over the top of the shoulder, and I might even want to go to the front and back side as well. I'm going to lay on my side. Okay, you can also do this up against the wall, and I'm going to lay literally on the side of my shoulder, and I'm going to start to press, and I'm going to go very slowly, and I'm going to press on anything that has to do with the lateral part of my shoulder blade. Okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm actually kind of smashing, the way Kelly Starrett likes to actually mention it, smashing all of this tissue all along the side. Okay, now I've got a pretty aggressive foam roller, so I got a couple of marks. I'll heal, I'll be okay. You can use a softer foam roller if you're not used to it yet. So this one is actually a PVC pipe. This one's made by Rogue. I like it. It's pretty aggressive. They've also got a Trigger Point's got a cool one, or you can get a PVC pipe, costs you like $3 at Home Depot. Those are different options. They've got real soft ones. Go whatever level it is you want. But what you're doing is you're starting to get used to taking this entire shoulder and pressing and pushing nice, fresh fluid, and just really kind of starting to break up this matrix of knots that starts to be created, this webbing that actually gets caught in between the muscle tissue and can actually decrease the amount of movement and flow that you have. We naturally do that, in some cases more than others. Now, in the case that we're actually going into an overhead movement, we want to clear space, right? So if we were looking at the shoulder, we just pressed all the tissue on the outside here, kind of made it a little softer, and we also took a little bit of pressure on the back of this scapula on the shoulder blade, and we released a little bit of this. That does not necessarily mean that those are the only parts of the shoulder or in that pectoral area. You could, if you wanted to, even work on your trap, but we're working on 2 sections right now, making it really simple. Now, once you've done that, you want to be able to create a little bit of distraction. Let's open it up, okay? So if I've applied pressure here, and I've applied pressure here, okay, that's with those 2. If you want to go here, you want to go here, you want to work on your arm, your biceps, triceps, those are all up to you. I'm giving you 2 for right now. From that moment on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to take this tissue here, and I'm going to stretch it out. I'm going to move it so that I can clear space, and I'm not necessarily having it jam my humerus into my shoulder blade, okay? And so in order to do that, I'm going to choose a little bit of traction to add some distraction. And so by that, I'm going to take the bar that I have right up above me, and I'm going to use my body weight, okay? So I foam roll my left arm, okay? So if I was doing that, that's the arm I want to reach up with. And so I'm going to hold on to the bar, and I'm going to take my body weight, and I'm just going to hang. And what that's going to do is it's going to start to create space within this capsule so that when I go to do my overhead movement, it's going to be opened up. It's going to have space. It's not going to impinge as much. Now, it's going to take time for this to happen, so I'm going to hang here maybe 30 seconds, really stretch it out, and I'm going to change direction because I want my tissue to work in all directions. So I might even move to one side and hold, to the other side and hold. I might lean in real deep and let my arm go back behind me. Good? If I can turn and I can hold. Be creative with your distraction. When you start to press on the tissue, understand that your tissue is incompressible. So no matter how hard you push on it, it's as strong as a steel cable. You can push as hard as you want, and not really a whole lot that's going to happen, but your body will tell you how much pain or discomfort you can actually take, and make sure that you give yourself just enough time to heal before you do it again. I do it pretty much every day, used to it. That's just, it's just what I'm used to. So you're going to get to that point also. So what we've covered is a little bit of lat foam rolling on the top of your shoulder, a little bit of distraction to open it up, and hopefully we can clear a little bit of space and move from there, and then that way you're able to do your overhead presses a little bit better. Next time, we'll cover a little bit of decompression in the trap, and a little more so in the bicep and the tricep, to start to apply it to different areas that are actually interconnected into the shoulder joint itself, to add a little bit more mobility and a little bit more movement. All right? Hope you guys enjoy. Try it out. And even if you don't necessarily have any kind of shoulder impingement now, it can actually help to clear a lot of space and actually improve your movement. Try them on both sides. Make sure you're nice and even, and see which one of those is actually a little bit tighter. You maybe learn something about, you know, your body that you didn't even know was tight. Kind of go from there. Hope you guys enjoy.